Let's get into it. Good Friday morning to all you guys out there and girls. Apparently, a lot of emails from the ladies, a lot of tips from the ladies. Thank you guys so much for coming out here. Now, we're going to get into some stuff today. Candace Owens has a major break in the web of things that she has been covering, that all of us have really been covering. She found something out. Now, we're going to be digging into this major break, and then I'm going to dig deeper into La Quinta, which is a hotel that is oddly close to UVU. And I'm going to show you guys that in a second. That was some research I did. And then I'm going to break over to the fact that this actually touches on the whole license plate thing that Candace was talking about before she went on this hiatus. And we'll talk about that. And then we're going to jump over to the La Quinta CEO, because I just wanted to do some digging there to see if there was any connections, and then La Quinta itself. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of information. Candace cannot stop working. And I actually have an insight into why that is, because when it's a scheduled break that she's taking for a holiday or something like that, there's no need to work. You know, you might put out a tweet here and there, but it seems like she's still in work mode, yet she has stopped airing her show, and we don't know if she's coming back next week. There's been no word of that. She hasn't announced that. There's been no comeback date whatsoever. But let's get into this major break. Major break, someone directly involved in the booking process has confirmed to me that our Egyptians, because we have no idea who was on that plane, could be a little bit of Egyptians, could be a little bit of Philadelphia, who flew into Provo ahead of Charlie Kirk's passing, were staying at the La Quinta Inn Suites in Orem, Utah, specifically the University Parkway location. Remember, our Egyptians flew in on September 4th and stayed until September 13th. And we are now looking for footage of these individuals. If you own a store nearby and can check cameras, or perhaps you work at La Quinta and you remember something odd, someone in Utah may hold the key to solving this. Please email, etc., etc. Now, this is actually very, very interesting. So I decided to do some digging, like I told you, and I'll just bring you through my little research sheet as I was going through it, so you guys can see where I was at and all the questions that I asked here. So right away, I was like, does La Quinta Inn and Suites in Orem, Utah, have any military connection? Okay, so that was my first question. You know, I always like to start with a big, broad question, because it'll usually say no, but it'll help me refine things. But instead, it said La Quinta Suites by Wyndham Orem, Utah, University Parkway / Provo offers military discounts. Now, I was like, okay, I already knew that. In fact, La Quinta apparently has some very heavy military ties, but it's within its hiring process and the fact that it gives discounts. So you will have a lot of people who are military stay there, because why not? You're going to get that discount. Although some military, ex-military, they don't care to have that discount. They don't care to put it out there. Yeah, so there's a lot of people who stay there, but then there's also a lot of people who are hired in La Quinta who are military. The hotel is located near major military and educational institutions, including Brigham Young University, BYU, and Utah Valley University, UVU, which are significant hubs for military personnel and veterans. While the hotel itself is not a military installation, its proximity to these institutions and its inclusion of military discounts indicate a connection to the military community. Now, that was something I was not expecting. So there is a connection. Now, you're saying, or I was saying at least, I'm like, oh, it's close to UVU. Well, I was like, how close? How close could it possibly be? So I went on to the next question. All right, guys, there's 3 things I need you to do. Like, subscribe, and go check out the Patreon. That's it. Get back to the episode. How close is La Quinta Inn? You know, this exact address. And then it said, La Quinta Inn is less than a mile from UVU. making it very close, very accessible by a car or short drive. So it's actually extremely close, less than a mile, like we just said. Now you have to, we obviously, we're just looking into things here. But it's painting a picture. I know from those two things that I just said, it's painting a picture based on everything you already know about the Charlie Kirk case, right? So let's keep going here. So the next question I asked are, what stores are nearby? Now, the only reason I'm asking this is because Candace was like, we're looking for footage, etc. So I was like, is there really an answer to that? And it was giving me pretty broad answers: Target, Costco, Walmart, Trader Joe's, Winco Foods, University Place, a shopping center nearby, various retail and dining options, etc. So that's all you can really see in regards to stores. I'm sure there has to be some smaller stores that it's not mentioning here. And hopefully those people have cameras. I mean, all of those places that I just mentioned definitely have cameras in their parking lots, etc. Now, is Candace going to be able to get access to those? No, I don't think so. I don't think that the people of Costco or Target or Walmart are going to bring her that footage, or bring anybody that footage. They would have to be asked by the authorities for that footage. I don't think that's actually going to happen. Smaller stores might just be like, sure, why not? Who knows? Independent store, independent person covering it. They might have some love there for Candace or any of us who might stumble onto it. The only other option would be someone who actually works there, who's like, you know what? I already put my 2 weeks in. I'm going to look for this really quick. But also, they might have what is called a 30-day retention policy, which means that they only keep their footage for 30 days. If nothing comes in, if nothing's stolen, if no wild accidents happen, then it's clear. If 30 days go by, they kind of just delete it. That could be, I don't know for sure, something that they have. So that footage might just be gone, but you still have to look for it. I mean, they mysteriously had footage of Tyler at Dairy Queen. So, why not? Who knows? Then the next question I asked was, are there any military bases or buildings near UVU, BYU, or La Quinta? And then again, I put that whole address. I'll just be saying La Quinta Inn from now on, but I put the whole address just to see, and I just skipped ahead dramatically. Are there any buildings there? And then it said no major military bases, nothing like that. They have the VA clinic, Orem VA clinic. They have, I think that is Colonel Gale S. whatever, Candy Bomber Veterans Center, also in Orem. They got the U.S. Reserve Center. They got the Hill. Let me just go down here, if you know anything about these places. And they got the Hill. This is one of the closest places. Active military bases is 35 miles away. In actuality, here's the thing about that. That's not actually that far. It's very far. I know that. But when we're talking about, military activity all around on this particular day of September 10th, that doesn't sound that far. But again, that is not what Candace has in question. She doesn't have that in question. She's thinking of French. She's thinking of Philadelphia. She's thinking of people in the crowd, in the parking lot, etc. I mean, if Tyler was willing to drive as far as he did, why wouldn't somebody else be willing to drive an extraordinary amount of miles? Now, we went here. This is the question I asked. I said, you said military and educational institutions, BYU, UVU, are significant hubs for military personnel and veterans. Would that mean there are military personnel around those universities? And it said yes. Yes. Yes, there are military connected students. I did not know this. This kind of, like, for me in my research, when I was showing you videos of witnesses talking and things of that nature, and I was like, it's always someone who has this military background. It's always someone in their 40s. It's always somebody who's either ex-military or currently serving. I mean, you know, the guy who was cheering, saying USA with the long hair. His name was David. He was military. Skylar didn't have military, but he was jumping out of planes and whatnot. Seems like a skilled guy, to say the least. And then, well, George Zinn didn't really have military, but he did have a lot of odd connections to the broader community, especially in Orem. So it's very, and then the 4 witnesses that I covered who actually spoke with a Salt Lake City news outlet, they had 2 people who were active military. And I was just like, why are there so many? Why are none of them students? So going back to that, yes, there are military connected students, including veterans, active duty personnel, both at BYU and UVU, which is why they are considered hubs for military personnel. Now, that statement alone is very, very, like, again, makes Candace not seem that crazy. Makes everybody who's talking about this not seem that crazy. When they start talking, and of course, Candace was the first to say it, she thought it was a military hit. That's what she was putting out there. She wasn't saying which, but she was just saying, basically, when she says that, in my mind, she's saying highly skilled individuals who were not just random people who decided to just take shots are the ones who helped execute that whole thing. And yeah, it could be. It's considered a hub for that type of people. Okay. Not calling out anybody in particular. Utah is filled with good people. I'm sure every place is. But, and then it said here, BYU is dedicated vet and military service offices, a recognized student vet organization, and supports around 338, is that GI Bill students, including 11th veterans, post 11th veterans. It also offers credit for military training and has a 100% retention rate for full-time military affiliated students. That's BYU. Then UVU has served approximately 798, I hope that's GI Bill students with support services and vet and military connected students, including academic advising, benefits processing, priority registration. So I had no idea that UVU was that type of place. I thought this was just another university, to be honest with you. This really starts to paint a different picture. You know, Candace doesn't seem that off in saying this. Then I was just checking the addresses because some people gave these addresses. They gave out 2 addresses. I just wanted to see. One was University Parkway, and the other was just like North or 780 North Orem. And I was like, are both of these associated? And basically, if you do see somebody handing out 2 addresses, this address here has no association with La Quinta. So I don't know where people got that or why they're using it, but it has no association. The correct address is the University Parkway one. This address is confirmed by multiple sources, the hotel's official Windham page, booking.com, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. So digging into it, when you look at UVU, there is quite a bit of military activity there. It's not out of the question. And a lot of people are making it seem like it's completely out of the question. It's just a bunch of kids and that's it. No, there's actually a high percentage of highly trained individuals there. Now, I'm not saying anyone attending UVU was just like, all right, it's Operation Charlie today. That's not what I'm saying. But it just kind of makes what Candace is saying make a lot more sense. Now, let's jump into what I was talking about before. Now, the fact that we now know that La Quinta housed these people, these Egyptians, right? We now have the license plates that Candace was talking about, right? So now what you're looking for, or what, you know, people might be looking for, possibly, is this. Because you wouldn't be looking for, like, how are you going to look for these people? You don't know who these people are, but you would be looking at La Quinta and you would be looking for these cars. That's what people would be looking for. Huh. I feel like we're right on the cusp of solving something really big, really, really big. I don't know if Candace is going to have an answer when she comes back. I have no idea. And I don't know when she's coming back. I have no clue. But all it takes is seeing footage, seeing those cars. But then where does that put us? You have the footage, La Quinta, you see the cars, you see the plate. Where does that actually put people at that point in time? Now you have to figure out who's actually, driving the car. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about, these type of people, these highly trained people, we'll call them from here on out. These highly trained people, they don't just get a car and then have that car have this plate. They don't do that. If all of them are together, they go switch this plate to this car, switch this one to this one, switch them up. That's what they do. And then on top of that, if somebody, let's just say allegedly, maybe perhaps, if somebody has to drive to UVU for a certain thing that's going on September 10th, they're not going to be dumb enough to be the person who rented the car. They're not going over and saying, here's my ID. Here it is. Here it is. There's my ID. Yep, that's my name. They're not doing that. Even if they do have a fake identity, they're not doing that. They're going to have somebody else put that whole process in motion. And then they're just going to be the person driving the car. And listen, that's just me. In my mind, not highly trained, in my mind, that's what you would do. Especially if maybe perhaps you had a very, very extreme thing to do on September 10th, right? That's just my thinking. But this does correlate, and I'm surprised she didn't bring it up. It does correlate to the license plates that she was talking about just days ago. Now, when it comes to La Quinta, you'll see a video circulating, and you'll see this guy talking, and he's talking about what he does. His name, you can see it right there. It's Wayne Goldberg. He's talking about the strong military connection that La Quinta has and why they do it and everything like that. But just in case you're looking into Wayne, I should actually look into Wayne as well. Who is Wayne Goldberg? A little impromptu, sorry. Who is Wayne Goldberg, and does he have highly trained connections? Let's ask that really quick. Because, Wayne Goldberg is not the CEO anymore. He's this, let's see. I'll show you guys. Why not? Former CEO. He had the role in 2006 till the company's acquisition by Wyndham. Joined La Quinta 2000. Long career in hospitality. Red Roofs. Regarding military connection, while Wayne himself doesn't appear to have any background, he is known to have strong commitment to hiring veterans and their spouses. During his leadership, La Quinta grew its vet workforce significantly and was recognized as a military-friendly employer by organizations like GI Jobs and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. He emphasized shared values such as integrity, loyalty, and dedication. Okay. No. So no service. The mention of service results in Richard Wayne Goldberg, different individual. Okay. So there you go. So he doesn't have any connections. He's not the CEO anymore either, but it is important. And I was going to mention that he did focus on hiring veterans, and that's something that they haven't let go. They're still considered a very friendly place to those people they hire. They give discounts. They hire the spouses as well. They try to really, really help those people, which is a great thing. It's an absolutely great thing. Before you go thinking this place is some kind of terrible place, that's not what I'm saying. Let's just keep going here. This guy, how do you say this name here? The new guy, his name is Krishna Paliwal, and there's no longer a CEO. He's just the president of La Quinta brand and the head of agriculture, design, and construction for Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, overseeing the brand's design and development strategy. Now, I went and looked into him a little bit to see if he had any connections. He has absolutely none. That's not the connection. Oh, that's not the connection question I asked. I asked if he had any connections. It said there's nothing of him having any connections other than, being a part of that brand that makes sure that they have those connections. Now, we're going to move on to another drop that Candace put out here. But first, just talking about like why Candace is not airing her show, but still bringing information. To me, this shows that she has something going on in regards to what she has alleged about the hit that was put on her and who put it on her, and the fact that she went to the White House and to Joe Kent, who is an extension of Tulsi Gabbard, with her information, and they actually verified her claims, right? That this is what she is alleging right now. It makes sense that she's dealing, and I said this before, she's dealing with security right now, upping security, figuring out if where they live is actually safe, figuring out if there's actually people who have been surveilling her or around her, which I imagine there was. Not even for, I mean, I've said this before, there was a file on George Carlin. Why wouldn't there be a file on Candace? Like, what are we talking about here? So I would imagine there is. They're probably looking into that, what's going on there. She's probably dealing with a lot in that regard. Because, again, I'll just say it. Tim Pool's like, it's pretty obvious what's happening here, okay? It's Thanksgiving, and she wanted to take a vacation for Thanksgiving. And that's why she's acting like there's a hit put on her, so she could take off for Thanksgiving. It's the worst theory. The worst. You don't get any tinfoil for that theory. No, we don't give you tinfoil. You get saran wrap for that theory, because that theory sucks. You get saran wrap. You get the same little beanie that he wears. You get a saran wrap beanie, bro. You do not get a hat for that one. You definitely don't get a Speedo. You get nothing made out of tin. Absolutely nothing. No aluminum, nothing. Absolutely ridiculous. So that was his theory. It's Thanksgiving. And a lot of people, they eat that kind of stuff up. They're like, yeah, she's just lying. I think if this was a planned holiday, first off, she's Candace, and she takes holidays all the time, and she just announces it. She says, hey, going on holiday, won't be back. That's exactly what she did in the height of everything that was happening with Charlie Kirk. She was just like, taking 10 days off. Bye, guys. And that's it. Why wouldn't she do that again? She could just say, I have 4 kids and a husband, and it's Thanksgiving. A lot of family stuff. You guys know the drill. I'm going to be cooking. I got to go. Bye. She could just do that. Why would she have to make up a whole story? I'm telling, people just don't get it. It's the same type of people who say that she's like just in it for clicks. It's like, bro, she did a whole thing on Blake Lively and Justin, whatever his name is. Blake Lively's beef with some dude. Beldoni is his name. People were still clicking. They're like, let's hear it. I was deep into it. I was like, this is crazy. So what's going to happen next? Ryan Reynolds? I was like, Ryan's controlling, but he seems so nice. Canadian. Come on, man. Clicks don't stop for Candace. She doesn't have to do anything for clicks. Oh, man. She could be like, we're going to be doing a series on regenerative farming. And we'd all be like, okay, so farming? Okay, all right, let's do this. Come on, man. So I don't think that's what it is. And the fact that she's still working a little bit, still showing breaks, still saying, okay, major break here. This is what's happening. The fact that she's doing that shows that this is not a planned vacation. And it shows that this was something that just happened. And of course, like I said before, it's based on the hit that was put on her allegedly by the French. Somebody in the comments, they were like, you're going to have to come up with a new word for French soon. Is that true? I'm going to have to be like, the Philadelphians and the New Yorkers. That's what I'm going to have to do now? Come on. Come on. I can't say French? I got to be able to say French. Come on. That's ridiculous. But they might be right. You might just be right out there. Thank you for the heads up. Appreciate it. But that is everything I got right now. Oh, no, that's not everything I got. Sorry, guys. Boom. Let's go over here. So she actually also stated this. She said, has the press done its part and asked the White House? And listen, I don't learn theirs. They learn mine. I'm just going to say it. The LECs, that's it. Palace, whether there are any French legionnaires on the ground, whether there were any French legionnaires on the ground at UVU on September 10th, seems like a pretty straightforward thing to confirm or deny. And then she said, if they have the audacity to lie on record, it will be good for humanity. We need to see how deep this thing goes. Now, here's the thing about that. I don't think that they're going to confirm whether or not those people were on the ground at UVU. Now, again, I think it's the exact same situation that I talked about before earlier in the week. Think about the ramifications. If they say yes, then every American that's tuned into this whole thing wants to know, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to question this country? And what does the relationship look like going forward? Right? Because that is highly illegal. And then the question becomes, was it illegal? Or were they okayed to be in the country and on the ground at that university at that time? And if they were, who okayed it? And were those same people who okayed it also with them when they were on the ground at this university on that day? All those questions start to come up. So I don't think that they're going to address it. It would be great if somebody would say, hey, and actually ask the question about Candace, but I don't think anybody is. So I don't know. And here's the thing. When it comes to this Legion, I mean, listen, say what you want about this Legion. They have a very smart setup. Very, very smart. It's all foreigners. They have, and I won't say low morals, right? A lot of them are, they're from different parts. And, I'm not going to, listen, let me just not bite my tongue, okay? They're known to have low morals from what I've heard. If you're a part of it and you're like, I'm an upstanding guy, good for you. But from what we are hearing, they don't have the same scruples that everybody else has. They're willing to do certain things. They're highly, highly trained. They're very, very good at what they do. So if they were on the ground, how would you even know? Like right now, she's asking, like, how would the White House know? The only way that the White House could confirm or deny, actually, I don't even know. They could just deny it, I guess, if they don't know. But the only way that they could confirm it would be stating that they knew. And if they knew, how could you know a guy with a fake name who has a passport that says he's from maybe even America? Like they make fake names for these guys. They make fake identities for these guys. Says he's from America or says he's from Canada, but he's not actually from there. And he's actually from the Legion. And he does what he has to do. And then he bounces on this Egyptian plane and then he's gone. Or he goes back to La Quinta, puts on his stuff, makes sure not to take any towels. Maybe he takes just one towel because, they have really nice towels. And then he gets going. How would they know? The only way they could know is if they were communicating with that entity and allowed them in. That's it. Or if they were working alongside some other entity that was, domestic. So it's a real tough one. I know she wants an answer to it, but I don't see that answer coming. I got to be honest. But we'll see. we'll see. Like I said at the beginning, there is no date for when Candace will be back. She has not announced it. It is Friday today, isn't it? I always have to check the days now. When you work from home, you have no idea what day it is. So it's Friday today. I have to actually verify that. I don't actually know. I looked at my watch and I couldn't see anything. It's Thursday today? Wow. No. When this comes out, it's Friday. So she hasn't made any announcement as of yet. If that announcement's going to come, you think it would be on Friday, possibly the weekend, but we usually don't hear much from her on the weekends. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'm trying to fill the void the best I can. And I'll hit you guys up tomorrow. Other than that, I'm out of here.